G'day everybody, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and this is episode 130 on Tuesday, August the 31st. Yes, August the 31st, 2021, last day of August. And, well, that means it's getting close to the end of the summer, isn't it? Kids go back to school next week, so yeah, that's the official end of summer. Okay, so let's jump right into my current project behind me. Now this may look familiar. You're probably thinking, but didn't you show us last week your Christmas quilt? And I did, but this is not last week's quilt. This is another quilt top. It hasn't been layered and quilted yet, and it is what I will call a trash Christmas quilt. I think I may rename it to something like Merry and Loud or Merry and Bright, whatever. This was made from scraps. This is a method known as crumb piecing, or I did see one video where a lady called taking all little pieces of scraps and putting them together to create blocks trash quilting. I don't know if I like the term trash quilting. It suggests something about your quilt, doesn't it? But this is one I made from scraps from the first quilt that I showed you last week. And also I added a few other scraps that I had laying around of Christmas fabric to this as well. Now each one of the blocks I did not bother to sew straight seams. I threw pieces down on my sewing machine. I just kept adding them to each other randomly until I got a piece of fabric that was big enough that I could cut down into a 12-inch square, finished 12-inch, 12.5-inch unfinished. And I made about 9 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, wait. I made 12 of these. Math, not good. And then I sashed them with some black and silver Christmas fabric just to separate them out a little bit, and added a wider border with some regular yardage. And so there it is. Now I did do something else which you probably can't see in the video because it's fairly subtle, but I put embroidery. I did some quilting on the top using my embroidery machine, and it is a stylized sort of snowflake look. So that's in the center of each one of the blocks, but that gives me room around the outside of each of those to quilt it as well once I get it all layered up. And I think I'll probably do stitch in the ditch around each block, and then I think I will just do either straight line or probably a wavy line. I might experiment with a decorative type of stitch that I'll make, you know, larger, something in a more geometric shape maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, I have a lot of straight lines in here, so it should probably be curvy that I put in there. I don't know. We'll see. You know, I can't wreck it because it's already a trash quilt, right? I don't know what I will do with this afterwards. I don't know if I should give it to somebody as a gift or not, because a quilter would appreciate the technique that's being used here, but a non-quilter might think that this is kind of amateurish. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. But anyways, it's a great way to use up your scraps, isn't it? And by the way, I've changed my lighting just a little bit. I have a ring light, and usually I'm looking into my camera, which is in the center of the ring light. But of course, with my glasses, you get a reflection. You actually can see the ring. I don't think you can right now. I'll see when I do the replay of this. What I've done is I've set up my ring light, because I do need the light from it, off to the side, and I've got my camera sitting in front of me, and I'm hoping that'll make things a little bit better, because I think probably looking at in my glasses and seeing the ring light is very annoying. At least it is to me. So I'm hoping this is an improvement. Okay, moving on. As you know, Ultimate Sewing is going to try to have a retreat in March of 2022. We'll see. I hope we'll be able to. I really do. I miss going to physical retreats. Zoom retreats are great, and I have an announcement. Yes, a little later on about an upcoming Idiot Quilter retreat, but we'll hang on to that for a minute. And they asked us to help with the programming. And we've done this before for them, so we're building on what we've done before, our successes, and we're improving on the things that we didn't think went so well. But that's usually the case, isn't it? When you get a second chance to do something, you do it better, or at least you should. So one of the things that I'm going to implement this time is a bit of a all retreat challenge, where I'm going to have a big box of scraps laying on a table. People will get to go in, pull out some scraps. They'll have a limited amount of time, and working with a partner, if they wish, they can design a block. I think I'm going to make it an 8.5-inch unfinished block, but they can't use a pattern. They can use something they've done before, but it has to come, out of their head. They can't go to instructions. And there'll be a prize for the best block. And that prize is going to be a trophy. So I've designed several different prototypes of trophies, and I took them in to show them to Donna, the hostess with the mostest at Ultimate Sewing, because she's the coordinator of this retreat, and to get her opinion. And we have decided on this design. This will be the trophy. And you can see that it also doubles as a pin cushion, because I thought, well, you get this little trophy, isn't that fun, rah rah, stick it on a shelf. Let's make it also useful. Make it something that you can use. So, and of course, I love pin cushions, at least the ones I've been making. So that's what I've done with this. Now, this is still not the final version. I am debating whether I'll make this part a little larger, and this piece in front that it has a place where you could put a plate. I've just used my Brother label maker to put, what does it say? Ultimate Sewing Retreat 2022. I'm going to experiment to see if I can 3D print sort of an embossed type of plate that I can put on here on the front. I don't know if I'll be able to do that or not, but that's another thing that I'm going to try. I'm going to have to make several of these trophies, because if people work in a team of 2, then each person should get their own trophy. So I will see about that. I've got lots of time, but I like to work ahead. Ironically, what'll happen is the retreat, because of COVID, and let's hope this doesn't come to that, won't be able to run. We have up until March before we have to worry about any of that, so we'll see. So I've been working on that. The other thing I've been working on too, which is also with the retreat, is how I like, I'm just looking around to see if I can show you one. You've seen this before. It's on my shelf. These little pin cushions that I make from the thimble shape. Well, right now as we speak, I'm printing about 16 of these in one fell swoop. Well, 8 on each one of my 3D printers, because I have 2 3D printers. I thought it would be nice to give these out as a little gift. Now, Ultimate Sewing always has a swag bag as well, so this can be included in the swag bag. Or I'm thinking, just to make it a little bit more special, on the Saturday night, Walter and I will be the entertainment. Well, I shouldn't say we will be. We're arranging it. The cousins will probably be there, and some of you know who I'm talking about. Matilda Mudslinger and Gladass Happy Bum are probably going to be making an appearance and hosting the Saturday night events of the retreat. And this might be a little gift from the 2 of them as well. So I have set up my printers so that they can print 8 of these at a time. It takes a while. It takes about 26, 27 hours to print 8 of them at a time. And then of course I have to put the part in that holds the pins and everything. And I have to get more pins for that. But I think Ultimate Sewing will come up with the pins that I need. But I just think it's a nice little favor that people can take away with them. I'm all about giving things away at retreats and events like that, because I think it makes people feel really special, and that they're getting something, as a keepsake memento of their time there. So I'm working on that. Another thing that I'm working on is I've got pretty much all of my Christmas pin cushions that I'm giving away as gifts, along with my Christmas table toppers, pretty much all done. I think I have 2 more just to get the pin cushion in. I have 2 more of the Santa ones like this one to do that with. The gnome ones are all done. And the table toppers are almost done too. I'm going to be working on those later this week as well. I've got 4 more to make. The center part is all embroidered. I just have to, put it all together. I've got the pieces cut out, so I can make quick work of those as well. And another thing that I'm using as Christmas gifts as well, I love making Christmas gifts. I really do. So I don't just make one thing for somebody, I make a series of things, and usually on a theme. But since this Christmas is a gnome Christmas, I'm making these little guys. This is a freestanding lace little gnome ornament. You could hang it on your tree or whatever, because it's got a little eyelet up here at the top for that. I think what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to put them on a card base. And so it'll serve two purposes. One, it'll be the Christmas card to the individuals that I am giving these things to. And on top of it all, they'll be able to remove it from the card top and use it as a Christmas decoration. So I'm just started working on those, and I just had an idea this morning of something I want to try. There's a loose thread on there. I have to cut that off. That'll make these even better. So that's another thing I need to get to work on today. So yeah, so those are Christmas things. There'll probably be more Christmas things, and I'll show them to you as I get working on them. Okay, so moving away from Christmas, let's move into Halloween. But before I do that, I just want to show you, remember that line of fabric I fell in love with, and I got some of it from Ultimate Sewing, but they didn't have everything in the line, and they didn't really have the blues. So I went online to another store I know of, and they didn't have much of it either, but I was able to get these two fabrics in the line. This is the line that's from Northcott's Batik line, Banyan Batiks, and it's called Luster. And you know how I love blues. Well, there's two more. So I have 5 of the fabrics in the colorway, which should be enough to do something with. What? I have no idea yet. But you know me and fabric. I love it. So I've got that, and my next project is to get started on and get done soon a Halloween quilt. Now, originally I bought a panel, and I showed you this panel before. Let me just undo it here. Well, this is sort of the panel, and I fell in love with this panel. I don't know, me and panels these days, it seems to be my trend. And I thought, you know, I'd make a wall hanging. So I thought, well, what will I do for wall hanging? So I bought some more Halloween fabrics, and I showed those to you before. And then I was looking for a design. Now, of course, I usually end up making my own design, but this time I just wanted to see, because it is a panel, I wanted to see what was out there. And I did find a couple of designs by something called Quilting Renditions, and this is one design I saw and I really liked. Now, this is not a wall hanging. This actually makes a quilt. Finished quilt size, it says, is 55.5 by 79.5. So it's not a huge quilt, but it's bigger than a wall hanging. Now, the reason I wasn't thinking quilt is because, you know, Halloween quilts, yeah, sure, you can have them out at Halloween. And actually, what I'll probably do is, if I get this done before the end of September, for the month of October, it'll hang over the back of a couch as a decoration. I do have Halloween decorations that I've made as well. As you know, I'm not a great fan of decorating for Halloween. Scratch that. Yes, I am now, since I've been making things for it. So that's probably what I'll do with it. So I needed to figure out what fabrics I needed for this pattern. Now, at first, the cheap side of me saw this pattern online, and I thought, this isn't that hard. It's called ladders. You know, it's strips across. I could probably figure out how to do this. But that's kind of like, you know, someone took the time to design this, and let's not be that cheap. I bought the pattern, and it was downloadable, and it was $9 American, $11.91 Canadian is what it turned out to be. That's not expensive, okay, for a pattern. So I thought, you know, let's support the pattern maker here, buy their pattern, and, you know, then I'll have the right dimensions and everything. So then I need to figure out if I had enough fabric for it, and I did, and I needed to organize it. So I am deviating from what they've done. They've used sort of fabrics that read as not quite as solids, but more of, you know, blender style, mottled effect and that. So I went through my stash, and I have my fabrics picked out. And these are the fabrics, and you can see from the side what I'm going to use. Now there's more here than I need. If I used all of these, this would be a tent, not a quilt. But I think it's going to look pretty sharp. It is not a difficult pattern. As I said, it's all pretty much strip piecing with it. So that's my next major project that I got to get started on real quick, because tomorrow's September 1st. 30 days hath September. That's 30 days I have to quilt before October 1st. That's the deadline I have set for myself for that. We'll see how that works out. And a little bit of slurped up coffee as well. Okay, so I've shown you the fabric that I bought. I've shown you the quilt that I'm going to do. So that takes me to what I'm doing with all my fabrics. Well, you know, I buy a lot of fabric and then I put it away. And where I put it is in drawers. And I can't see what I really have. They're a little bit disorganized in those drawers. They're folded up, but you know, in order to get as many pieces of fabric in a drawer, I kind of pile them up, and then you know, you got stuff buried underneath that you can't find, that you don't realize you have. And when you spend a lot of money on fabric, you should be able to find it, not years down the road and go, oh yeah, I bought that, that would have been great. So I needed to do some reorganizing in my sewing dungeon in here. And I thought I would do a little video showing you what I have done with my fabric. At the same time, I thought I'd take you on a very brief little tour of my sewing dungeon. A very small space. I've talked about this before, and I have shown it to you before as well. But now I'm going to show you with the way that I've reorganized it in terms of my fabric. It looks like I have a fabric store now. So I'm going to insert that little video I made right here. Okay, I'm starting something new here in storing my fabric. These shelves, I had previously all these blue baskets, which some of them are still here at the moment because I'm in the process of organizing all of this. And I put my fabric down into drawers over here, my IKEA drawers. But my IKEA drawers are full and I can't get any more fabric in there. And that means I have to do one of two things. Either stop buying fabric, that's not going to happen, or find a more efficient way to store my fabric. And so what I'm going to give a try, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I am folding my fabric so they fit exactly into this shelving unit that's here. And I'm using these little plastic clips to clip onto the edges right here at the top and the bottom to hold them together. And I'm storing them vertically on the shelf. Now, there's an advantage to this in the fact that I'll be able to see all my fabric laid out. I could reorganize this afterwards by color, and I may do that. We'll wait and see. One problem I have those with these baskets. These are sort of my large pieces of scraps, but I think I'm going to go through the baskets and get rid of this tiny stuff I don't want anymore and only save the larger pieces. And I'll figure out where I'll store those in a bit. But in the meantime, I think I can get quite a bit of fabric in these spaces, more so than I can get them in the drawers. And the way I'm folding the fabric is, let me just see if I can do this one-handed. So I usually buy fabric in 2-meter sections. So I'm just going to open this up, a little awkward when I only have one hand. And the selvage it's at the top. Let's move that out of the way. And then I fold up to the bottom to the selvage. Just like that. And then I have this ruler. This is a 12 and a half by 6.5 inch ruler. I just lay it down here at the edge, have a little bit of overhang, and then take this. This is really awkward trying to do this with one hand. Well, I take this, put it over here, flip it over, flip that over, put my clips on, and I have a bundle like that. I'll show you what this one looks like in a second. So you see here I have my ruler in here. I have this folded over to make this size bundle, and then I'm going to take one of these little plastic clips. And where's my plastic clip? There it is, my plastic clip. I'm going to clip one at the top and one at the bottom, just as I've done here. And this is how I'm going to store them. So I'll come back and show you what this looks like when I get it done.
Okay, so I finished reorganizing my fabric and I now look like I have my own quilt store, don't I? And that's not all my fabrics, but this is a lot easier. Did I save room? Not really, but what I've done is now I can see what I have, because a lot of it was buried in the drawers, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and I didn't know, I'm sure I've had fabric in there for several years that I'd forgotten all about. So now I have them all together here on the shelves. Not only that, but it makes it look quite pretty, I think. Now, I work in a very confined space. It's about, probably 10 feet wide by maybe 8 feet, 9 feet long. So I really don't have the biggest space. So I have to utilize every inch of it. So I thought, I won't just show you the fabric here, but I'll explain my organization in my scrapbook room as well. Scrapbook room, my quilting room, my sewing room. So over in this side, well, down here, we'll start here. There's my iron and my ironing spot, and this is my cutting mat. And if I need a bigger space for cutting, I can easily remove the pressing mat from here and gets me more space. My most frequently used tools I keep out here in a variety of different containers, and my rulers are all in this area as well. Of course, I have my pin cushions that I've been making, and you know all about those because I've talked about those on several different episodes of the Idiot Quilter. And I do have a TV set up here as well with a camera mounted on top, because when I do Zoom calls, like for sew days or things like that, or when we have a live Zoom meeting with one of the online groups I belong to, the Quilter's Way, I can see that because it's directly in front of my sewing machine, which is right here. Of course, I have miscellaneous threads over there. Most of those are kind of garbage threads. My really good threads I use all the time, my Aurifil or Aurifil cases up here on the spot. On the upper shelves, I have the less frequently used supplies like my oil, some sprays, extra starch, things like that. And those baskets contain Halloween and some Christmas decorations as well. Ones that I have made, and they're just up there because I haven't any room to put them in the crawl space where all my Christmas decorations are. These are my project boxes, and they're all labeled, and you will find that I label everything, so I know what's in them. And some of these are projects going back a while that I've never gotten to. The stuff is all there, ready to go. I should get to work on those someday. Also up above here are some of the baskets. I didn't have any place to put the contents of these, so I left them. But they're seasonal, like Christmas, novelty, and pattern fabrics, and a basket full of solids as well. This is what I call my vision board. I put mostly patterns up here, things that I like, that I think I would like to do someday, and the operative word there is someday. And below this are some binders and things that have, notes about different things, or instructions, things like that. In behind that vision board is painting supplies, craft painting supplies. So it kind of serves a dual purpose, my vision board, and it covers up all those supplies as well. And it just lifts up if I want to get into it. I do have an iPad here mounted above my sewing machine. Even though I have the TV over there, I sometimes use the iPad when I'm doing a Zoom connection, because it allows me to see, multiple points of view. Over in this area, another table below is basically a collection of non-quilting fabrics and things like that. Just didn't know where else to put them. And this is my second sewing machine sitting here as well. This is my travel machine. And more shelving and magazines and books and embroidery threads and whatnot, and my computer as well, which is hooked up to a camera and the microphone for Zoom through the TV. These are all my embroidery threads in this Alex unit. And this big thing here, I share the room with my treadmill. Now, I have to admit, I haven't been on the treadmill since January. I probably should, but there it sits. And luckily it folds up, or I wouldn't have any room at all. I would like to get rid of it at some point in time, but right now, who knows? I might use it yet. Yeah, really. These are more shelves. When I can't go horizontal, I go vertical. And these have, you know, drawers. They're all labeled with what's in them, bits and pieces of this, that, and the other thing. And then, of course, I have some pre-cuts up there, bundles, and embroidery patterns, and then another basket of patterns. And then down here, this area over here is usually projects that I'm about to start or on the go. It's just where I keep things sort of organized. My embroidery machine sits over here as well. In behind this is why this area is so small, is my husband's workshop, which is a mess, so we won't look at that. I even hang things like bags I've made, placemats, table runners. I hang them along this bar that I have up here. Originally, I was going to use that bar and put a couple of curtains on it and pull it across, so when I did Idiot Quilter, you wouldn't see this mess in behind. But you want to know something? Didn't work out that way. And it also has my UFOs, and I have several of them, that are sitting up there waiting to be layered and quilted. And I think I did mention that in these drawers are a lot of fat quarters. I love fat quarters, so they're all labeled as well. Now, below is another IKEA set of drawers, and I made this table from an IKEA tabletop to support my embroidery machine and my serger, and the drawers are all labeled. Now, this is where I was keeping all that fabric you see now on the open shelves, and now you'll understand why I didn't know what I had, because you can't see in these drawers. So what's in here now are scraps, and they're all organized. For example, there's a bunch. I kind of keep them in color groups, so these are purples and blues and greens, and I have several drawers of those. And yeah, I didn't need to really have them out. They were in the baskets that are on those open shelves now, and so they now fit in those drawers. But I do have everything labeled because there's no way that I'll remember where I put anything. There's threads in here that I use for quilting, embroidery threads, more embroidery threads, like I don't have enough, and just other miscellaneous items. My hoops are in this box for my embroidery machine, and this is where I also store my collapsible tables that I use when I set up for quilting. And you see a quilt hanging up here. I have a couple of wires, and I've got special hangers, and I can hang a quilt across here because I don't have room for a design wall. So I will hang the quilt up on that wire as, well, dual purpose really. I use it as a backdrop when I'm doing Idiot Quilter or So Chatty from this room. And also it gives me a chance to look at the quilt and see what else I may need to put on it. Over here are my stabilizers. That's just an upside down wine rack, cheap wine rack that I wasn't using anymore for bottles of wine. So it makes a great thing for storing stabilizers. Also, I utilize this, but I utilize every inch of space I possibly can in here. So the back of this door with command hooks are your friend. I love them. And this is where I hang all kinds of miscellaneous items. Down here on the floor are more stabilizers, and underneath here is a mess. There's a lot of stuff in storage way back there, which has nothing to do with quilting. It's just storage. I really need to get under there and clean it out because I've forgotten what's under there. But I do have some more drawers here, ones that hold, you know, miscellaneous quilting supplies for, you know, free motion quilting and things like that. This is also fabric. These are large pieces of fabric in here, and you can see I have them all folded up so I can see the edge of them to see what's really in here. So I have quite a bit. Couldn't get those all under there. I keep my batting under here as well, and it goes way back, and some more cutting mats and some of the larger pieces. And that's my bag. The purple thing is my bag for my sewing machine when I take it somewhere. So you can see every inch of this space is utilized, but I'm really happy with my reorganization of the fabric because, well, now I know what I've got. And that doesn't mean I'll stop buying fabric, but I need to because I'm running out of space. But you know, if I need to, that little area there that says white fabric and with the Aurifil, I can find another place for those, and that'll give me a little bit more space for fabric. So I can still get more in this room. Yeah. Okay, so I thought you might be interested to see how I've done some revamping here with my fabric.
So now when people say shop your stash, I can. And it's pretty. It looks nice. I'm looking at it right now in front of me, and I really like the look of that better than the blue boxes. So that takes us to Quilt of the Week. This is by one of my regular subscribers, Joan Jervis, and I hope I've said her last name correctly. And just as a reminder, I think this is the last quilt from a subscriber I have to show you. So if I don't get anything before next week, I'll just have to show you one of mine with that. So please send me a picture with a brief little blurb of one of your quilts, and I'd love to feature it on here. Okay, so here's Joan's.
This week's Quilt of the Week from a subscriber comes from Joan Jarvis, and she says, just watched your recent Idiot Quilter video and see that you'll be using her fabrics. I thought I'd send you a pic of the table runner I did last year using that same line, using a layer cake. The pattern is from Jenny Dung at Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I also included some red tulle as well as Kona's Snow. The back is a subtle white on cream, odd fabric from my stash. I liked the fabric so much I ended up buying another layer cake as well as some yardage. Can't wait to see your finish. And she also says that the tutorial, if anyone is interested, is from Jenny's video called Make a Christmas Table Runner Using the Large Wedge Tool. So you can just do a search for that on YouTube and you'll find that. And she mentions the layer cake, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure which layer cake she's talking about that I used as well. And it just goes right out of my head as to what it was that I used that she also used. But this is really nice. And it looks very simple, although I think you have to have a specialty ruler to do this. But that can be got without any problem. Or you might be able to even make yourself a template and just do it from that. But it's simple in its style, and it's simple in the way that it's quilted. And I think those simple techniques make this very, very effective. So thank you, Joan, for sending this picture along to me.
So that takes us to my resources in my show notes this week, and I have things there asking you, how you can get in contact with me. If you would like to have me interview you, please, I'd love to. You know that. Where to send me your pictures of your quilts. And there is a link to Craft and Chat. Yes, it's coming up to that time of the month, and I'll talk about that. I'll talk about it now. So Craft and Chat, tomorrow is September the 1st. And 2021, just in case this is seen way into the distant future. And of course, on the first Wednesday of every month, I run my little get-together Craft and Chat, where at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can join in on the Zoom meeting and work on whatever for a few hours. We have conversation. It's not formal. It's very relaxed. If you don't want to work on a quilt, some other project you're working on, doesn't have to be sewing related or quilting related. It can be crafting. It can be anything. I had one of my subscribers on Stephen and Walter Live on Sunday ask me, can I just be there and do nothing? Personally, I think that'd be kind of boring, but yeah, sure, you can do whatever grabs you, okay? It's up to you. It's a come and go kind of thing. Come early, stay late, come in the middle of it, whatever. If you have to leave early, leave early. There's no strings attached here. I do not record it. It's just fun. It's inspiring. I always learn something from the other people who join in, and we have a good time. And that's what it's all about, just to have a good time. So if you're interested, I have the Zoom link to that in the show notes. And yeah, as I said, it starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we run until about 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you can come and go as you please. Okay, I have also the link for this week's YouTube channel, which we'll come to in a moment, as well as a link to this week, it's not a pattern, it's a book of patterns that I'm going to be talking about. And there's a link to the online fabric store that I'm going to review shortly as well. There's also a link to the Idiot Quilter Presents, the latest one. It just went up this morning. Amy from Ontario, your sewing teacher, as her YouTube channel is called. A great interview. Amy is a fellow Canadian, fellow Ontarian. And although we've never really met in real time, well, I mean physically, I found her very, very interesting. And on top of it all, she's also an English teacher. So, you know, that appeals to me as well as being since I am a retired English teacher, as you know. So do check that out because it's a wonderful interview. There's also a link to So Chatty episode. We did What's in Our Drawers. Yes, it was a clickbait teaser. We talked about junk. You know, everybody has a drawer, at least one, where they bought something, thought it was going to be great, used it once, threw it in the drawer. And those things accumulate. And sometimes we forget what's in those drawers, and we also wonder, why the heck did I buy that in the first place? Also, as we were doing this, Walter and I found a couple of things we'd forgot that we had, and we thought, well, wait, we should be using that. So I've already had a few comments about that because it seemed that, and we didn't know whether this would have much appeal to anybody, but apparently it did. So if you haven't seen that yet, the link is in the show notes. And then, of course, there's the links for all my usual favorite stores. Okay, so that takes us to the YouTube channel of the week. I discovered this by accident. I was looking into some edge-to-edge embroidery machine quilting ideas. And I discovered this lady. Now, there are lots of videos out there with people doing, edge-to-edge quilting using their embroidery machine. However, I have a problem with most of those videos. My problem is this. They all show it on a little sample sandwich. Okay, yes, you can do edge-to-edge quilting on something that isn't any bigger than a baby quilt. Okay, with very little difficulty. Show me a queen size. That's what I keep looking for. And I know why people aren't showing those ones, because it's a lot more complicated to do it, if you can do it. Now, I know somebody out there is going to tell me, I've done it for years. Great, wonderful. Could you give me the link, if you've got a video? Because I'd love to see it. Because to date, I have yet to see somebody do a queen size quilt. I want to see you going from one side of the quilt to the other side of the quilt. Okay? Because heaven knows, I've tried. I have done it with my old embroidery machine, my 15,000, Gnome 15,000. Let's not go there because we know there was a lot of problems with that. But I am not convinced that it can actually be done without a lot of tears and a lot of fighting with it. Well, April tried it out, and she had the best intentions. But she ran into problems too, and this is what I admire about her. She showed you what the frustration was. She is upfront and honest about the whole thing. She's not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes and trying to pretend, yeah, it's a breeze, it's easy, you can do this. No. So actually, I'm going to be interviewing her in the future. We're just talking about now a date and time for that. But her website is really good. And it's really down to earth. And she's not afraid, like me, to show you her problems, her mistakes as well. It's real. So I'm going to stick that review right here.
This week's YouTube channel is one by a lady called April Story. And April Story has a wide variety of videos all about making quilts. And she's got some very interesting and very simple patterns. Her videos are very professionally done. She adds a touch of humor to them as well, so they're somewhat entertaining. But I have found that especially if you're a beginning quilter, you're going to like this particular YouTube channel. And if you take a look down here at some of the titles, she has Make a Quick Quilt in 3 hours. using 9 fat quarters. And you want to know something? I watched that video and I was thinking it's going to be very simplistic, and it is very simple to do, but it's very interesting. It's just not putting large squares of fabric together. She actually does a disappearing 9 patch with that. She has quick and dirty quilting when you just need a quilt, 3-yard quilt tutorial using a modern charm pattern, and etc. She has quite a few things. And if we go to her playlist as well, if you're looking for ideas for doing panel quilts, and actually I should review that because I'm about to do a panel quilt for Halloween. Rag quilts, her vlogs. She looks like she uses a Bernina sewing machine. So quite a lot of things here. And she's got something about Cricut design space as well. So she must use a Cricut. So there might be something in here that you'll find helpful with electronic cutting if you happen to have a Cricut or an equivalent machine. So she's got a lot of really great videos. So check out April Story.
Okay, so that takes me to the pattern of the week, or what's on my vision board. And actually, this is a whole book of patterns. I was talking about doing a Halloween quilt. Well, when I was in Ultimate Sewing, trying to keep the glare off this, I found this little magazine style book. And it's got a whole bunch of really interesting and cute Halloween projects in it. You can see them here on the back. The reason I got this book was to see if it could give me some ideas. Get the hiccups again. For what I was going to do with that panel, that Halloween panel. Well, now I've decided to actually follow a regular pattern, but this has got some really cute ideas. Some of them are paper piecing ideas, and the templates are all in here, and they're fairly easy looking, like how, you know, they'd be easy to do. But I don't usually buy books or magazines because I look at them, I might get one idea out of them, and then I just take it and put it on a shelf and forget about it. I'd rather do a search on the internet and find things there. But when I saw this, I thought I should have it. It's called Spooktacular Halloween Quilting, a project for every room. 10 creative quilted treats to decorate your home. It's Annie's Quilting. I don't think that's the same company, and it's not as Annie's Bags. It's actually anniescraftstore.com. It says on the back of it. An American company. I've never really checked that out at all. I might now that I have this book, because as I said, there's some really cute ideas, lots of pictures. The instructions look like they're fairly straightforward to follow, and it wasn't expensive. I think in Canada it was $11.99, it says on the back, and in the States it's $9.99. So, you know, the price of a magazine, because it basically is a magazine. But I put the link to this in the show notes if you are looking for some inspiration for Halloween. Okay, so that takes me to about my interview that I just did with Amy, your sewing teacher, that I already mentioned. And I have a little teaser for you for that interview, and the link to that is in the show notes.
And so that brings me to my next question. And so what is your favorite, or do you have a favorite creation?
Yeah, some of my costumes are like my very favorite things. If I made for Little Mermaid, I made everything from scratch. It was a Little Mermaid Junior, and I made the seagulls. So I forget what his name is, but the seagull in Little Mermaid.
Right. I know I don't know what he's called.
Yeah, I forget his name. And I made it out of I made his out of a very fine, almost feather-like fabric that I got in Hamilton from Anne's Fabric. And I made all of his little seagull friends. They aren't as prim and proper as he is. So I made all of theirs out of torn shears.
Oh.
So every feather was a piece. And so they were just these fantastic looking seagulls, and he looked all prim and proper, and they had looked a little shaggy. And that probably was my favorite thing to make when it comes to costumes. But when it comes to like sewing, like I said, I do everything. Like I'm right now I'm doing some strike sewing for a brand new fabric company. So I'm doing some garments for myself for work. And on my table, I have a tester pattern for a bag company, for a pattern maker. So making a purse. So like I have my hands in all sorts of things.
And that takes me to one of my quilts that I'm going to critique this week. I made this one quite a while ago. I believe it was a Jordan fabric pattern. And it hung up on my UFO rod, waiting to be quilted. Well, I finally did quilt it after it hung there for about a year. And I was really pleased with the way it turned out, so I thought I would critique it for you.
This week's quilt of my own that I'm going to critique is one that I made some time ago, and it was a pattern I think I found on Jordan Fabrics. In this picture, you can see this is what the quilt top looked like before I had actually quilted it. It's called Jagged X's, and I did this out of a mixture of batiks, and basically these were scraps more than anything else, and I picked one batik to be the more prominent background in this so you could see the X's. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and if you'll notice my corners down in here with my borders, I did do mitered corners. Now, one problem with doing mitered corners here, if you look here, I didn't really have the strip pieces matched up. If I was to redo this, I would match these up a little better. But, you know, the quilt's fairly busy, so that's not really that noticeable. Now, if we take a look at the back of the quilt, or the quilt when it was finished, this is after I've got it all layered and quilted, and I think it turned out really good. It is fairly intense in the quilting, and it looks like I used walking foot for this, and I did a combination of straight line quilting, and I believe these are wavy lines. Now, I did it in a fairly light thread color because I have so many colors in this quilt, and also again it's my lack of confidence when I'm quilting, so I feel that if I use a lighter color, if I make any mistakes, they're not going to be that noticeable. But overall, I think this quilt turned out quite nice, and it was one I had hanging up in my sewing dungeon as a UFO for quite a while before I got around to quilting it. But it's now done, and I think the end result turned out well.
And that takes us to the online quilting store of the week. And of course, this is a Canadian one. All the ones that I review are Canadian. And it's another one of the stores that I have never really dealt with. But so I'm judging them according to what I find on their website. And it's called Cherry Tree Quilts, and I believe it's out in BC in the Okanagan Valley, which is a very beautiful part of Canada and of BC. I have been there, I think I've been there many years ago, briefly. Should go back. But anyways, here's Cherry Tree Quilts.
This week's fabric store online that I'm going to review is called Cherry Tree Quilts, and I believe that it is located, well, it tells you right here, in the Okanagan Valley, which is out in British Columbia. So let's take a look. Their opening page tells you where they're from. A Quilt Sampler Magazine top shop, so they had an award given to them. You can do pre-orders with them. They've got Tim Holtz's new Abandoned 2, which I have some of that, and I love it. And their featured fabric lines, Tim Holtz, Moda, more Tim Holtz, and Maywood Studios. And they have kits, and they do sell machines. It looks like they deal with Brother and something called Moxie, which I'm not sure. That's by Handy Quilter. Okay, so that's a long arm or a mid-range machine. They have their store hours and their contact information. So there's quite a bit right on the home page itself. Let's check out their shop and let's see what they're... Okay, they sell fabric by the yardage. You know how I feel about that. It should be a metric since we are Canadian. They have new releases, pre-orders, just in, by collection, by designer. They have batiks, odds and sods. They've got it looks like they've got a wide variety of categories. Let's take a look for fun at their autumn and Halloween, because this is something that people probably are purchasing right now. They have Halloween Harvest by Basic Gray, Broomhilda's Bakery from Maywood, and they also put in here some embroidery from Kimberbell and charm packs. Well, let's just check their price out of curiosity. Oops, overshot there just a little bit. $19.99. I'm assuming that's by the yard, so that's within the ballpark of pricing. Now, is that because this is specialized? Is it a little cheaper if you get the everyday stuff? So let's take a look. Click on yardage. Click on by collection. Let's see what they're charging for Tim Holtz. Abandoned line. $19.99. So it looks like their general prices are all the same, about $19.99 per meter. Now what else do they have? Let's take a look at their notions. And looks like they have the standard types of things. Oops, I think I went out of that. I did. So yeah, needles, hand needles, bag hardware, irons, quilting rulers. Yeah, they have all the usual kind of things, zippers and that. So good selection there as well. They do have classes and events. Let's see how they're handling these. They offer classes and private lessons for all levels of interest and experience for quilting, fiber art, machine quilting, and long arm quilting. But they're not listing any classes under here. Let's take a look at their calendar. And they've have a blank calendar and nothing here. So possibly this is something they're just starting, or because of COVID, they're not offering them again. I don't know. They do have services, service and repair, long arm rental, long arm quilting services, and mail order quilting services. So you could send them a quilt, I guess. I'm not sure what Treehouse is. Let's check that out. I guess we're not going to check that out because it's not opening that. So I don't know what that is. Information. What long arm quilting machine is right for you? Machine quilting tips. Preparing your quilt tops, flyers, and posters. Let's just take a look at machine quilting tips. Okay. A lot of text. Micro quilting magic. So it looks like these link to other things. Let's try the Sweet 16. And they have video. And it looks like it links it up to YouTube. So we'll just go back. And back up here. And let's see, what do they charge for? Well, let's check About Us. Oh, picture of their store. So they do have a brick and mortar store. And where they're located, they do have it looks like a video shop tour. Let's just check a little bit of that out.
This is the story of the cult favorite, best-selling, weightless.
Okay, we've got an ad. Let's get out of that. Okay, so it looks like a really nice store. If I lived out there, I'd be going to it. They have Google reviews. Well, you can add a Google review if you wish. Now, what about their shipping policy? How much do they charge for shipping? Can we find this? Oh, here we go, right here. And they say they try to ship within 1 to 2 business days. They have a flat rate within Canada of $7.50 on purchases of $19.99 and up to $15. And then 15 to 20, it's $15 on purchases from $20 to $99. And then if it's over that, over 100, $20. Free shipping on pre-taxed online product covers orders over $200. So if you order over $200, it's free shipping. And they talk about their shipping for machines. So shipping seems to be fairly reasonable as well. So overall, I've never ordered from this store, but I am tempted to check it out a little bit further and possibly order something from them. So that's Cherry Tree Quilts, located in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia.
And that takes me to what's coming up. I've already talked about Craft and Chat, which comes tomorrow, September the 1st, 2021, starting at 1 p.m. Link for it's in the show notes. But now here's my big announcement. Well, you knew it was coming because I've been hinting at it. I've been done more than hint. I've kind of told you. I have decided, yes, I am going to do an Idiot Quilter retreat again. The dates for the Idiot Quilter Retreat are September the 24th and the 25th. September 24th is a Friday and the 25th is a Saturday, but it is not a 2-day retreat. On the 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm having a little cocktail party, an icebreaker cocktail party via Zoom. All are welcome to join in on that. Bring your favorite beverage, bring your favorite snack, and bring a favorite creation. Now, as you know, my Idiot Quilter retreats are open to all people, no matter what kind of craft they do. It's not just, although the majority will be people that are quilting or sewing, you could be a paper crafter, a mixed media artist, whatever, okay? So the idea of the cocktail party on Friday night is to break the ice, because I don't know who's going to be at the retreat, and obviously these people can come from all over, literally from all over the world, although I think the majority are going to come from Canada and the US. So it's just a way, especially for those who've never been on a virtual retreat before, to get a feel for it all, okay? I'm establishing some atmosphere here, and my atmosphere is one of fun, inspiration, relaxation, creativity. So we'll have this little cocktail party, and as I said, bring your favorite beverage, bring your favorite snack, and bring your favorite creation, and we can have a little show and share with that. I'm going to do a little bit of a trunk show as well, just in case nobody has anything to show, which I don't think will be the case. And we might even play a game or two, just for fun. So it's just a little party for a couple of hours to enjoy. The main retreat will start at 9 p.m. on the Saturday, September the 25th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All my times are my time in Ontario. And you just click on the link and away you go. Now, there are some differences to this retreat than the one I did in the spring. The spring one, to be quite honest, was a lot of work. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed putting it together, but it took a lot of work, and there was a lot of coordination in that. Needless to say, I did not get anything done. I wasn't even sitting at my sewing machine during that retreat. I was sitting at my main computer, keeping notes, keeping things on track, all that kind of stuff. That was exhausting. It was a good exhaustion, but it was exhausting. And I would like to join in too and do some sewing as well. So I'm making this a lot less structured. It's going to take on the flavor of a craft and chat. You know, come and go as you please with this. Now I have, though, scheduled some presentations. I am going to do a live tutorial on how to make a Christmas star, because this whole retreat revolves around getting started on your Christmas sewing or Christmas crafting. Now, you don't have to work on something with a Christmas theme, okay? You can work on whatever you want to work on, but I'm just giving it this theme. I have put together this little tutorial showing you how to make a fabric Christmas star, which are great for putting on your tree, or for hanging as decorations, or for actually attaching to a gift or something like that. They're really easy to make. And not only that, but even if you're not someone who is a fabric user, creator, you can do this whole thing using paper as well. It's, like I said, it's very easy, and the end product is really fun, really nice. So I'm going to do that. I also have a special little video that I want to show you that I think is of interest. Now, this is definitely something that is geared towards quilting because it's the history of quilting. And you want to know something? I learned from this video that quilting actually, they have evidence that quilting started in prehistoric times. Can you believe that? Love to see those sewing machines, wouldn't you? Kind of Flintstones. You know what, little animal running on the treadle or something? I don't know. But it was a really good video, and it is out in the public domain. The person who created this has it on the, what do they call it? Common, I forget what they call that, but it means that anybody can use it for whatever purposes. So I'm not violating copyright by showing this to you. We're also going to have some show and share of what you are working on. I neglected to do that in the last retreat because I got so busy with other things, and somebody after the retreat, when I asked for feedback, made the suggestion about doing that, and I thought, yeah, sure, that's a great idea. So I will be doing that too for those that want to show. I mean, if you don't want to, you don't have to, if you're a little camera shy or something like that. So we're going to do that, and there may be a couple of other surprises. Now, speaking of surprises, the word prizes is in surprises, so let's talk prizes. There will be some, but not as many as I had during the last retreat. Now, the last retreat I had sponsors, and they were more than generous with the prizes. Of course, the prizes all have to be done virtually, which means that I cannot afford, since this is a free event, I cannot afford to ship out a physical prize to people. Okay, I just can't. So I need prizes that are like coupon codes or a coupon or things like that for certain stores. The problem with that is, well, there's a couple of problems. I'm small potatoes, so, you know, I'm not getting coupon codes or special coupons from places like Missouri Star Quilt or Jordan Fabrics or Shabby Fabrics or any of those other places, which all tend to be American, because I'm nobody. So they wouldn't even look at me, okay, for this kind of thing. I went to local businesses, and I went, of course, to Ultimate Sewing, and I went to Class Act, my local crafting store here, and they were extremely generous. I'm not going to go to them again, okay, because I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, or, you know, like I feel, and they would still do it, but no, that's asking too much of them. So I will have prizes, but the prizes are going to come from me. So what I'm doing is I'm going to have some draws, random draws throughout this day for a $20 Amazon gift certificate. And I can send that to the person electronically. And the one thing too about Amazon gift certificates, unlike the gift certificates I got from these other two stores last time, is that you can get whatever you want. You don't have to go to a specific store, and you don't have to pay like whatever that store. If you were in some place like Texas and you got a gift certificate from Ultimate Sewing, well, it's going to cost you on shipping. So I'm giving you an Amazon gift certificate instead. And I will pick the Amazon gift certificate according to where you live. So if you're from the States, it'll be from Amazon.com. If you're from Canada, it'll be from Amazon.ca, because I have discovered that if you buy a gift certificate on Amazon.com and try to use it in the Canadian version of the store, you can't, and vice versa. So that's my plan for that. So I'm sorry there won't be as many prizes to be had, but I can't afford it. As simple as that. Now, I did talk about charging a non-refundable registration fee. I've thrown that idea out the window for a couple of reasons. One, I'm not sure how you would get the money to me because I am not a business, so I do not have things set up for a business. Yes, I could probably do it by electronic transfer to my bank account. I could possibly do it through PayPal as well. But that's a lot of bookkeeping. And even though I tell people that it's non-refundable, I am sure I'd get some people who would turn around and say to me, well, I can't come because I had this emergency and it's out of control of my hands or whatever, and I want my money back. And I would feel obligated to give it back to them. So no, I'm not getting into that. If I was a business, it would be a different sort of thing, but I'm not. I had thought of using that money to put towards, prizes again. But then everybody would expect to win a prize because I paid $10 or $5 or something like that for it. I just think there's too many hassles in doing something like that, and I am not doing this to make money. Yes, it does cost me a little bit of money. I mean, I have to fork out some money for gift certificates and, my time and everything like that, but I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because it's fun. I'm all about fun. So that's why I'm doing it. So that's what I'm going to do with prizes. Now, the other thing that you'll find is that I would like you to send me a picture, one picture of a favorite creation. And I'll put together a little slideshow which I will present sometime during the day. So there'll be some things here to, break the day up into, interesting little segments as well. Now, I am going to start sending out tomorrow the details of all of this. And even though you do not have to register for it, I am asking, if you are planning to attend, you just send me a little note via email. My email address will be in the little blurb I send out tomorrow and is always in my show notes. Just to let me know, I'm going to come to it. That's just a statistical thing. Because my license for Zoom only allows me 100 participants. I have to reserve about 5 of those spots, one for me, one for Walter, and a couple for other ways that I set things up. So basically, my top number I can handle for this retreat is 95. Now, since I am not doing pre-registration, because last time I did pre-registration, I had more than I could handle. I started a waiting list, and then I had people would cancel out at the last minute. I would try to get somebody from the waiting list into that spot. Again, the logistics of doing all of that is doable, but again, very time consuming. And when things get that complicated, you're going to screw up for sure. So no, I'm not doing any of that. As I said, it's, first come, first serve. So you might want to connect early at the beginning. I have no idea. I might have 2 people. It might be just Walter and I don't know. Or I could have a whole lot of people. The turnout for the last one was astounding. It really was. It blew me away. So what I'm going to do is I have my list of people from the first retreat with their email addresses. And tomorrow I'm going to send out a little bit more of a detailed email talking about all of this and the procedure and everything like that. But of course, you may not have been on the last retreat. Now, I will have in that email the Zoom links for the cocktail party and for the retreat itself. But you won't get those if you're not on my mailing list, so to speak. So if you send me your information, your name and your email address, if you send that to me, send it to my email. Don't send it as a comment in the show notes because everybody can see it then, right? And I do want to protect your privacy. So then I will send you out what I'm sending out to the waiting, or not the waiting list, to the mailing list that I already have. However, over the next few weeks, starting next week, actually probably starting this week with So Chatty on Friday, I will list the Zoom links for both the cocktail party and for the retreat. And they will be in every video that I put up until the September 24th, 25th date of the retreat. So you'll be able to get involved. But it would make my life a little easier if you really want to come to this, you're really interested, if you send me your name and your email address to my email account, and then I'll be sure to give everything out to you. And if I have any updates or reminders between now and then, I'll be able to send those to you very easily as well. So that's all about the Idiot Quilter Retreat, and I'm calling it, what am I calling it? Get Ahead Christmas? No. Heads Up for Christmas? Christmas Head Start. That's what I'm calling it. Head Start for Christmas. Okay. And yeah, I think it will be a lot of fun. The last one was a lot of fun. Okay. So I think that brings me to the end of the Idiot Quilter for this week. And I hope you got something out of this. Hope I brought a little inspiration and joy into your life. So get out there and create something beautiful and have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.